Welcome back to the Malaysia Money Matters show. It's the 10th of February 26.
Good morning.
We have a massive stack of updates today. I mean, it's a real mix of record profits, some legal drama, and the government tightening its belt.
It really is a good news, bad news kind of morning. You're seeing the private sector roaring back in some areas, but at the same time, the government is making some very tough calls on spending.
Let's dive right into the corporate news then. First up, if you've got a sweet tooth, you'll want to hear this.
Oh.
The government is reviewing and, it seems, reducing incentives for sugar refiners, MSM, and central sugars.
And a new pricing framework is apparently coming very soon. This is the government sort of slowly walking away from that kind of blanket support.
So what's the impact?
Well, it's pretty direct. If refiners lose those incentives, the cost has to go somewhere.
Right. To consumers?
Usually, yeah. You should probably expect some adjustments in the supply chain, which could mean higher prices on the shelf.
Okay, moving to energy, it feels like everyone is making moves here.
It's very active.
In Sabah, the state-owned SMJ Energy just bought a 20% stake in the North Sabah oil contract from Petronas.
That's a big win for decentralization. It's all about impact. Sabah is taking greater control over its own local resources.
And on the green side of things, Hibiscus Petroleum broke ground on a solar farm in Brunei.
And Kinergy Advancement signed a huge 21-year virtual power deal with Safran. This is the pivot we've been waiting to see.
The pivot to renewables.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Traditional energy players are diversifying to, well, future-proof themselves.
Now, in tech, it really looks like the slump might be officially over.
I think so.
Taiwan's chip bond just opened an 800 million ringgit plant in Penang, and MPI saw its profits jump over 40%.
That is a huge signal. The entire semiconductor ecosystem seems to be recovering. But just to keep us on our toes.
There's always a but.
Both said heavy industries had their trading suspended, pending an announcement. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Okay, over to consumer news. B18 Malaysia doubled their Q4 profit.
How'd they manage that?
Mostly price hikes and retailer stocking. But AirAsia is in a bit of hot water.
Right. The lawsuit.
Artist Ernest Zakharovic is suing them for using his famous Kids on Bicycle mural without permission.
That's a bold move that seems to have backfired. It really highlights a specific risk, Intellectual property liability can be just as costly as any operational issue.
Also, Aeon Co. has a new managing director, and Foodie Media is partnering with WTM.
Esports. Chasing the youth demographic there.
And wrapping up the corporate side with finance, Moody's is waving a bit of a red flag.
On the banks.
Yeah, warning that high dividends could stretch their capital buffers.
It's a classic risk-reward balance. Banks want to keep shareholders happy, but Moody's is basically saying, hey, don't spend it all.
On the bright side, we do have IPOs from Hawksoon Capital and Teamstar showing pretty good metrics.
The market appetite is definitely still there.
Okay, let's shift gears. International and political news. The big headline has to be the Johor Singapore Special Economic Zone.
The blueprint launches March 30th.
And they're targeting a GDP of 260 billion ringgit by 2030.
That's the long-term growth engine right there. But in the short term, keep an eye on palm oil.
Why is that?
Prices might drop below 4,000 ringgit. The competition from soy oil is getting intense.
But the national piggy bank looks okay. Bank Negara reserves rose to nearly 127 billion US dollars.
And the industrial production index is up almost 5%. So manufacturing is strong, which helps cover for that volatility in commodities.
Now here's where we see the government's new fiscal reality kicking in. The Sarah Aid cash distribution of 100 ringgit starts today for 22 million people, and now includes frozen food. But on the other hand, they canceled the Putrajaya tram project.
Because it cost over 200 million. See the connection. They killed the infrastructure blow to fund direct aid. Is a very clear shift in priorities.
And speaking of priorities, PTPTN clarified that travel bans now only apply to high-income defaulters.
Good. It's targeted. They're going after those who can pay but won't. While also, I see, approving relocation allowances for doctors taking permanent posts. Supporting essential workers.
Now on to some more sensitive topics. PM Anwar addressed a couple of tensions.
Okay.
He stated that pig farming should be kept away from Muslim areas, framing it as an environmental issue, and that illegal places of worship won't be tolerated, regardless of religion.
He's trying to lower the temperature. By framing one as environmental and the other as a land law issue, he's attempting to remove the racial element from the conversation.
Finally, let's touch on legal and governance. The Najib trial produced a wild detail.
The checks.
Yes. Banker testimony revealed Johor made sure Najib's checks never bounced, Meanwhile, Muhyiddin's sedition case is back to the High Court.
And KL City Hall launched a portal for urban planning transparency. Yeah. Honestly, that portal might be the most important bit there for the long run.
How so?
Transparency kills corruption. The trials are important, yes, but they show the system grinding away at past issues. The portal is about preventing future ones.
What a day. High-tech factories opening, trams getting canceled, lawsuits over street art.
It's a fascinating mix, isn't it? Aggressive growth right alongside some very necessary and maybe painful housekeeping.
That wraps up our deep dive for today. Make sure you subscribe to the Malaysia Money Matters podcast so you never miss these important updates on the Malaysian market news.
Thanks for listening. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.